Hello, everyone. Whether you're listening live to this broadcast or whether you're watching it on YouTube, I'd like to welcome you. I'm joined today by four of our illustrious alumni, and the objective of our discussion today is to just illustrate what it's like for someone who's coming as an international student to DMU, and then studying at DMU, settling into Leicester, and in the case of the four alumni that are with us today, they actually settled in Leicester after they graduated, which is a great story. So I'm joined today by Juliana, who joined us from Argentina via Spain, Euphemia, who came from Zimbabwe, Alice, who came from Romania, and Rupinder, who came from India. So what I want to do is just start asking a few questions. So I'll start with Juliana because she was recruited first to this event. So Juliana, when and what did you study at DMU?
Well, we need to go back in time. Hello, everyone. First, I came here to Leicester in 1998 to do a master in Fashion Textiles at the Montfort University. So a long time ago now.
Okay. And as I understood when we talked before, when we first met, you came here via Spain. You were in Spain?
Yes, what it was good is when I finished my BA in Argentina, I got a bursary to go to Spain. And in there I was studying at the University of Catalonia. And they offered me this chance to come to England, to the Montfort University, to do further studies in textile technology. Mm-hmm. But when I was here, they always say, just knock doors and see what happens. So I was going to do some textile engineering courses, but then I saw this opportunity to do a master in arts and design. And I just went and asked if there were some spaces available. And, it was so good because they opened the door and they allowed me to do this master in fashion and textile. It was excellent. Very nice experience.
Excellent. So you found it welcoming then?
Very welcoming. It was welcoming and flexible. And the professors that I had there, it was Professor Ray Holland and Professor Tom Cassidy, which I'm still in touch. And they were able, they were very friendly and say, okay, what do you want to do? How you wanted to do it? And enjoying the master, even though the master was already starting. So I was one month late. But they say, because of the background and our working experience, they say, yes, come with us. So it was fantastic.
And how did you, you've explained that it was welcoming at DMU as a campus and staff were very welcoming. How did you find Leicester as a city, as someone coming from a different continent?
Yes, well, I think one of the things that really surprised me, it was the diversity in the city. So Leicester is well known about, here we can find every single community from every part of the world, maybe not as much from Latin America, but certainly there was a lot of people from everywhere, And so this is, what I saw at the time, what a fantastic opportunity to be in one place, but surrounded by so many different nationalities. Mm-hmm. And I think this is one of the great things of being in Leicester, It's a very welcoming place, but also a very diverse place,
Yeah, great. Okay. Euphemia, can I ask you the same question? So when you came to DMU and what you studied?
I graduated in 2012 and my area of study was historical studies. So I had a PhD in historical studies in 2012. So I was studying part-time, juggling work with studies. But I found the DMU very welcoming and they had a lot of support. And I remember going for English, is it English support? They had a department that helps students with English. I'm originally from Harare, although in Harare they use English in schools and they use English formally in the workplaces. I thought I was, my communication skills were quite okay. I never thought, I never dreamt, not even a single moment, that I was going to need this extra English help, support. But when I arrived in Leicester, at the time I was studying, I noticed that people were struggling to hear what I was saying. So they kept saying, pardon, pardon. Thank God there was this English support unit. And then I went there. I managed to network with other students from the international, like other countries. And in the end, I managed to polish up my listening and speaking skills. But what I cherish most is the friendship. And some of the people I met there, I'm still in touch with them. And
That's great.
yeah.
That's great. And what about, and the same as I asked Juliana, how did you find Leicester as a city? Having come all the way from Africa to study.
I find there's a lot. Leicester as a city has a lot to offer, and what really amazed me is the diversity, like the cultural mix. There's a diverse cultural mix, and I understand because my studies is partly touched on the immigration that has taken place. So I understand that over hundreds of years, people have been coming over to settle in Leicester. And they've brought along with them their rich cultural heritages. And in the process, some people have they've introduced new things like new foods. So if you were to go to any restaurant in Leicester, you wouldn't be surprised to come across foods you can find elsewhere. So that's the beauty. And if I can touch on the groups of people who have come, we have people we originally come from Eastern Europe. We have people who have come from Asia. We have also people who have come from the Caribbean and Africa, and the Ugandan Asians who arrived in the 1980s. So they've all brought a rich cultural heritage, and there's so much to benefit.
Okay, that's great. Alice.
Hello, everyone.
Tell us your story. How did you come to DMU? What did you study?
Yeah, I came to DMU exactly 10 years ago, and I came here to do my master's in Design Management. And I remember when I first applied for my master's, I was under the impression that I will be the only international student in the whole of the DMU and the whole of Leicester. And when I arrived, I realized that I was very, very wrong. I had a skewed perception, I guess. And I realized that both DMU and Leicester were such as Juliana and Euphemia mentioned, such diverse. There's such a diverse community and diverse culture. I ended up making friends with people from Uruguay, from Thailand, from one of my best friends is Dutch, and also, of course, learning as much as I could about the British culture. So I had such a good experience. And of course, I liked it so much because I'm still here.
Good answer. Good answer. And did you find, you found the city, you just mentioned that you found, it's diverse, much more diverse than you'd obviously expected. Did you find it welcoming? Did you find you were able to settle in outside of university life easily?
Definitely. Yes, definitely. I think because Leicester, it might seem small on the map, but actually it's quite mighty in terms of what you can do. There's a little bit of everything for everyone. I mean, I'm one of those people who enjoys a drink outside in a pub, which you will see and find loads here in Leicester. But at the same time, I also like to walk. I want to go for walks in the countryside, which again, there are loads of parks and national parks which are breathtaking. So there's a little bit for everyone, regardless age, regardless culture or ethnicity or language. There are loads and loads of things that you can do here.
Okay, great. Thanks, Alice. Rupinder, last but not least. So when did you come to DMU? What did you study?
Yes. Hello, everyone. So I came to the UK and to DMU in 2017, towards the end of 2017, and I did my master's in interior design. So I graduated in 2019, but then I did not want my journey to stop there. So at that point, while I was graduating, I was still looking at different opportunities to still continue working in the UK and taking my education ahead. So I applied for a startup visa, and the university was actually really helpful in walking me through the whole process of how to do it. And we had a couple of interview sessions and everything, and then eventually the university did select me and they endorsed me. And yes, that's the reason why I'm here today. And it's going good. It's been a difficult journey, right? From, like, I did not come with a vision to start a business here in the UK, but during the whole process and towards the end of my course, I knew that I had to do something. So I am glad that I could, get it into starting my business here.
Fantastic. And for you, how was it in terms of Leicester as a city? How did you find life in Leicester?
Yeah, so actually I was a little scared to come to go out of my comfort zone. I have always been living in India, and staying away from my family, from my parents for a long time, it did seem a little scary in the beginning. But when you come to the Leicester, you're not the only international student, like Alice mentioned. There are so many people with you. They're going through a similar experience. So it just makes you feel a lot more comfortable at that point. And then just interacting with them, meeting new students. And I am so glad that the course that I was in, we had a very nice mixture of people from Europe, from Nigeria, from Belgium, Nigeria, India, China, that it helped us to learn a lot from each other, that how they work and how they approach design, which I think is very important in design. We are just stuck with how we work, but it's really good to know how people from different parts of the world work. So that was really nice. And actually, when I came to Leicester, it did snow that year. So it was my first year that I experienced actual snowfall. It might sound silly, but back in my city in India, it doesn't snow. It's like hot, scorching heat there. But when I came here, that was a really pleasant experience.
That's excellent. That's an excellent story. Alice, in terms of culture, were you able to keep in touch with your roots culturally when you arrived? Did you find it easy to find things to do that, kept you in touch with home, if you like?
Yeah, I think to best answer your question, I think I need to tell you a little bit more about myself and how I am as a person. I think one of the things that I like to do is to experience cultures that are outside my own. So one of my key one of my aims was to try to experience as much as I could outside of my culture. And yes, there are many opportunities to stay within, let's say, the Romanian community. But at the same time, my whole aim for me to start this adventure and to learn as much as I could about culture is to experience food that I never tried before, experience different traditions and different, approaches to life. I guess it was part of my personal development and my growth. So I would recommend to embrace cultures that are outside your own, even if it's not your comfort zone.
Okay, excellent. Euphemia, you mentioned earlier that there was a rich mix of culture that you weren't expecting when you arrived. How did you find it? Were you able to find things that you felt you needed or wanted to do that perhaps you thought you wouldn't be able to?
Leicester is a very lovely place. You can get almost everything. I was quick to adapt to the local culture, the food and everything. But the good thing about Leicester is like when people have been coming over, when they came up, they established some businesses in the manufacturing sector, and some it covers things like supermarkets and the services that they now provide, which have broadened up. So it's like in some of the shops, I'm able to buy some foodstuffs that are originally from home. So food-wise, I've managed to keep connected, but at the same time, I've adapted to the English way of life as well. And even like my kids, they went to Rashmidi, and they also eat Asian food, and we eat it, and it's like I'm trying to make the most of my being here and trying to adapt.
Okay.
So it's I find it quite a beautiful place. And
yeah. But if you wanted to eat food that was familiar, you could find it. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's easily available in some of the shops.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Juliana, same question to you. In terms of culture,
there are so many things happening in Leicester, and I think there are so many things that I could share with you. One of the things is there is a lot of festivals, happening, and there is a lot of, street festivals that it's a joy to participate on them. And there is one organization called Journey International that every year, well, except last year because of the pandemic, they do every time outdoor festivals, and when you have opportunities to share. And as Alice was saying, not only about your own culture, but about different cultures, So they talk about the history of immigration and how many people came to this country, And there is many opportunities, and when you can learn something new, So I think one of the things from Leicester is very good, the festivals that they have. Another thing that is very good from Leicester culturally, it is the Phoenix Cinema. And I don't know if you've been to the Phoenix Cinema, but it was something that you have to do, When we were doing this master, when we had some time and we were going to the Phoenix, because the Phoenix have a diverse program. And since I started going to the Phoenix, now it moved to the Cultural Quarter in Leicester. And again, there is a lot of, they have, at the moment they have 2 independent cinemas there, but there is an expansion. They're going to have 4. They're going to open 2 more. And the board members of the Phoenix Festival, they are trying to bring a new programming, which include, cinema from all over the world, So what a fantastic place there, to enjoy different cultures, but also as well sometimes having, because it's true that when you are abroad, sometimes it's nice as well to find these links to your own culture. So sometimes we're going to watch a movie that it was from Latin America or from Spain, you feel a bit at home as well, So back home. So there is plenty of opportunities here to have both, to experience new different cultures, but also have the opportunity to go back to your own one.
Okay, excellent. That was a really good answer. Rupinder.
Yes.
And for you?
So, honestly speaking, I think even you must be aware with it that every corner there are Indian street food shops, and there's a lot of shops, even Tesco's, even the local shops, like the local British shops, do sell a lot of Indian spices. So I don't think that is something that anyone will miss when they come here. There is plenty of Indian food around. And having said that, it's the reason we step out of our country and come to another country to learn, to study, is to, experience even a different way of life. So apart from going out, having Indian food, it's also important to just explore other cultures, explore what other things are there. And apart from food, there is so much else to do. Like, you can go for yoga classes, you can go for salsa classes, you can go for walks in the park. There are, even in the Leicester city center, there are like historical areas, and just step out on a Sunday, take a map with you, and then there's so much you can see, and Leicester as a city is very rich in architectural buildings. So every corner you go, you'll find something beautiful. You'll find a different sort of architecture. It's there are so many places which are worth photographing, So it's about just going out and, experiencing so much more. And it's it's sort of a place which makes you feel safe. Whenever you step out, you will see familiar faces, maybe from like maybe from the Asian community, or from the people you have in your student halls and things like that. So it makes you feel a much more safer to step out, go and explore.
Good.
Can I just say something else? In terms of the sports offer that there is in Leicester as well. I don't know if there is, if you are following football or you are a rugby fan, there is an opportunity here to explore. And I just got a little story that in 2015 there was a World Rugby World Cup here in the UK. And in Leicester particularly, they were hosting one match that it was from Argentina. So this is, one of the best days of my life, because Leicester was all dressed with Argentinian flags. So from, coming from Victoria Park to go into the Leicester Football Stadium, all this way was with Argentinian flags. It was one of the best memories that we have as a family, with my kids who they are playing rugby here in a local rugby club, but also going there and, everyone welcoming our country, And on the same day that we watched this match, it was fantastic. We also have Diego Maradona in Leicester. So if you're a football fan and you understand the story of football with Argentina, on the same day, it was like everything was possible, having, Maradona there, cheering up for the rugby, our rugby team. And this is, sport also is very important here in Leicester, So there is plenty of opportunities to join different clubs, and make yourself, not only healthy, but also another way to find new friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have quite a lot of students from Malaysia, alumni from Malaysia, and they're talking a lot at the moment about the football, sending pictures and asking for details. So, I think a lot of male alumni usually, but it's not exclusively male, of course. Okay, so let's come back to Euphemia. And how did you spend your free time, Euphemia, when you came? And did it change from the beginning to the end of your course, or?
When I first came, because I'm an art type of person, so I used to go to places like the theater, the cave, to see performing arts, things like comedy, and also I used to go to the Haymarket to watch cinemas. And the very first few years of my arrival in Leicester, I went about sightseeing, because most of the places were new to me. So I was going places, because Leicester has a lot of attraction centers that one can go and see. And of recent, I think we are all aware of the City King Richard III, the visitor center, where you can go to and watch. So I've been to places like the cathedral museums. Yeah, there are two museums I think one is in Wellington Street. So I've been there, and I also went to Leicester Football Club premises. They have a shop, and you can have the chance to buy their stuff like flags and everything. It's really lovely, because people actually travel to come there and just have a look and taking pictures. So Leicester has lots of places, and there are lots of activities. Like every year, there are certain events that goes. Like where I stay, we do I've taken part in some of the events, like Diwali festivities. When the whole town goes ablaze with lights, it's so beautiful. So there's a lot, it's non-stop, event after event. Yeah, that's the beauty.
Russell, we cannot hear you.
Sorry, I do that in Teams meetings. My team will be laughing now. Alice, how about you? What did you do with your spare time?
Well, in the beginning, we used to stay sort of localized to Leicester. We used to go to pubs. There's an amazing nightlife here in Leicester. So as I said, there's a little bit for for everyone, cinemas, as the ladies also mentioned. But one of the greatest things that I found about Leicester is the fact that it's located in the Midlands, which means that you can travel. You can travel quite easily. You can get to London very, very quickly. You can get to other British landmarks that there were on my bucket list for a while. And what's also great about DMU is that they offered those daily excursions, which meant that we could go as a bigger group. So one of my favorite memories from the time I was an MA student was visiting Tate Modern in London, which became one of my favorite places to visit ever. But I think that's what I would say in terms of Leicester. There's a lot to explore within Leicester, but the geographical location of Leicester, the Midlands, it just opens up so many opportunities to explore the whole UK.
Yeah, and of course the public transport is from here is pretty good, isn't it? With the National Express, you can get anywhere.
Exactly.
The train station is walking distance from the campus too.
And there are so many deals for students. You just have to have your student card, and then you can get many deals just to travel and explore and just to learn as much as you can about the UK.
Good. Juliana.
Yeah.
And how about you? What did you do with your spare time?
I was, I mean, we are talking, ages ago, 1998, yeah? So I'm sure things have changed what I was doing with part-time then, back then and now. But I remember, I think it was Wednesday when all the students were going out. And there is a thing, and Alice said, there is a very nice nightlife here, So we were to different, pubs and clubs, and we were doing this. And I remember, I came with a group of Spanish people, and a group of Catalan people. Sorry if they listen to me and I say, but and party was something very important. And I remember that they found a Spanish pub there, and we were going there as well. And I think also a mass was going to the cinema, going to the Phoenix, and have something, every week or every 2 weeks to have something. Obviously, at the time that I started, the curve wasn't there. But obviously, if I was a student today, the curve is one of the most fantastic theaters in the UK, and the provision on the program is fantastic. So if I was a student now, I think in my spare time I will try to go to every single show of the Curve, because it is a fantastic provision.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're a theatre fan, clearly.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Rupinder.
Yes. So there was a lot of activities that we did in our spare time, especially because the university, for freshers, as you come as freshers, there are so many events that the university itself hosts that almost every weekend you have some event either in the university or the Indian Society in the university puts up some events. So then we were occupied in all of that. And like I also mentioned, I wanted to try as many things as I can. So I did go for yoga classes. I did go for salsa classes. And there's so much that the city offers you in terms of also culturally. So when there's Diwali, you don't feel like you're missing home, because when you go to Melton Road, that road is completely filled with Indians, with Britishers, with people from all over the world. And they all are, making an effort to dress up for the event and trying to learn and trying to enjoy as much as they can. So I think as a student, whoever comes here, it's just very important to embrace every chance or every event that you can see of on DMU's Instagram page now, or on the website or anything. Just grab the opportunity, go there and attend it. You might make new friends, you might like it. So it's always worth giving a shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Euphemia?
In terms of advice, is it?
In terms of free time, sorry, I've already asked you that question, haven't
Yeah,
I?
yeah.
My apologies. Okay, so given that you all came from different continents around the world, what advice would you give? And I'm going to ask you each this question individually. What advice would you give to an arriving international student that might help them to avoid pitfalls or help them to make the most of the opportunity as soon as they arrive? So let me start with Alice on that one.
I think my advice would be to embrace the fear in many ways. I came with a lot of fear, a lot of worries, a lot of not knowing where will I be, how will I perform on my course, how will I be ever accepted, or will I find my way around Leicester? You know, even silly things like, will I be able to get to university? Those are worries that become very apparent, and they are forefront when it comes to thinking about studying and embarking on this adventure. But I would say embrace that. That's my advice, because once you go through it, you experience it, and once you try and find ways in which you find your way around Leicester, you experienced a new street or a new activity, you find friends, all of those things just click and come together, and you realize after a while how much you actually grow as a person. And how one of the things that I always tell my students as well is just embrace that fear, because that will open your mind, that will make you develop, that will make you the person that you will be probably in 5-10 years. So embrace the fear. That's my advice.
Okay. Juliana?
I think for me as well is go to your student union, go to the student union, because you are not the only one. You may, as you say, there is this uncertainty of something new, but also as well, how nice to see that, there is a challenge there that you can go over, but you don't need to do this alone. There is spaces, and there is, and I think my first point of contact was the student union, because if you wanted to find a place to rent and you didn't know, and you can go there and you can check in a board and you say, oh, there is a space here, and I mean, you don't only need to go to a hall of residence, although in the hall of residence are the best parties, but you also could go and rent a place and know more about a bit of the city. But I think, although sometimes you feel, oh, it's a big challenge, I'm coming alone to a new country, to a new city, how am I going to do it? There is people who are they're here ready to help. So go to a student union, talk to other peers, go to say, even in your own schools, whatever, I'm sure whatever subject you wanted to study here, you can go to your own school and ask for help and meet other students who are in the same situation, It is a fantastic time. As I say, my friends from the master at the Montfort University, after more than 20 years, are still my best friends today, So there is so many things that you gain by trying, to live, to don't, as you say, it's embracing the fear, but also open to meet other people, So yes, my advice is go to the student union and see who is there.
So take yourself outside of your comfort zone, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay. Rupinder.
Yes. I would say that it's very important, especially for international students when they come here, to enjoy every moment of, their university years. Because you don't know, at the end of the year, maybe you want to go back to your country or maybe you want to stay. But one thing you'll definitely take with you is the experiences, the friends that you made, everything that you learned from this country, because you've come so far. So, you need to enjoy and just not worry too much about, is this right? Should I do this? Should I not do that? You should just go there, give it a chance and learn as much as you can. And also at the same time, it's important to be true to yourself, If it's something probably you wouldn't be comfortable in exploring, or that is something that it doesn't, sit in with your principles or morals, you don't have to do it. There are communities and there are groups of people in the university which will have interests like you do, which will have worries like you have. So, you just need to go there, find people, and just be in the moment, enjoy it, because you don't know what's there for you ahead. So just live in the moment and enjoy it to the most.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Euphemia.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize what my colleagues have been saying here, the importance of networking. And my advice is that don't be a lone ranger or trying to do things yourself, because sometimes it's like, and also to make use, I understand that for new arrivals, there's a sort of an orientation week and a lot of events. So I was thinking that maybe the best way is to make the most and take advantage of every event and to use it as a time to network and to make friends, because you never know, like when the academic year progresses, things might change and get more serious, and it's like you might need like someone to have a discussion over an essay. Simple things like that, they can cause worry, in unnecessary worry. So it's like when you have people, like if you have in networks, you can always lean on them, or you can even like just go for a meal or meet up for tea. Because I believe like we are like human beings, we are social people. We need to interact, and sometimes if we isolate ourselves, we can get overwhelmed, and it's not good for our well-being. So it's just that I just want to emphasize the importance of having like friends or acquaintances or people to talk to when you need them.
Okay. So there's one last question which I hadn't warned you about, but what is the thing that you most enjoyed about your 3 or 4 years at Montfort University? Starting with Euphemia, since you're already warmed up.
Yeah, it was one just moment, one final the day I graduated. I was overwhelmed because they stood up, all people stood up, and they went clapping for almost 5 minutes. It was touching, and I liked the whole ceremony, the choir, and everything. The atmosphere. I'll never forget it. I always have it, and that was the peak point in my year. Because I was studying part-time. So when you're studying part-time as doing research, you don't go for lectures. So I was just coming like here and there, but it's like that was the moment like I felt that this is it.
Yeah, the graduation ceremonies are very, very good. I've 2 of my daughters have graduated from different universities, and I went to their graduation ceremonies. And there's something about the DMU graduation under normal circumstances, and it makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up, doesn't it? It's really, really moving.
Yes.
Juliana, what about for you? What's the most memorable moment?
There are so many. I think it's unfair to ask this question because there are so many. I think one of the things for me, the Montfort University and the master that I did, it opened up the door for opportunities, So it's not only what I did in my mastery, what became after my master. So, and I feel that some of these academics were there. They were key for me for the success that I have later on, So they gave me the confidence. They show me that there are people here ready to help. And as I said and I mentioned before, Professor Tom Cassidy or Professor Ray Holland, they are such important that they're still in my mind, And I think when I finished my master, then I went to work and I found work in Leicester. But I work in the first social enterprise here in Leicester, who came from a women's association. And after working there for 10 years, I have so many things to think about it, that I say, well, I need to do. I want to carry on my studies after my working experience and think about, what are these, what it was this experience about, comparing with other social enterprises, And to do my PhD, I really needed a letter from my supervisors of the master to be able to enter to another program, yes? So like 15 years after I finished my master, I contact Professor Tom Cassie and I say, hey, do you remember I was from Leicester and you give me this opportunity to do this master, and now I have an opportunity to compete, to have a grant to do a PhD. And I say, will you mind to do this letter and for me? And he said straight away, without no doubt, he went for it, did a fantastic letter, and this is why then I have this opportunity to do, to have a grant to do a PhD, after 15 years outside the Montfort University, So the Montfort University, I'm in debt with the university, because still today he's open up for me different opportunities, So they've been looking after me and my career. So, I could highly recommend it for a reason. I think as well, one of the things that I would say to students that, enjoy your time studying at the Montfort University, doing the best that you can, but it's also important to think about your degree or your master in terms of your qualification and what mark you have at the end, because we were really hard when I was doing my master, and I have a distinction, and because of this distinction, I was able to have an opportunity and a grant to do a PhD 15 years afterwards, So, enjoy, as a student, enjoy life here, enjoy your, all what Leicester is going to bring to you, but also study hard, because this also will open for other opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Juliana. Rupinder.
Yes. So, like Juliana, I don't have one moment which is memorable, but I would definitely say the interactions and design discussions with my professors. And when I mentioned that, yes, I would like to mention that Alice has also been my professor while I was studying in university. So, it's just that when you have these design discussions with your professors, and it just doesn't leave there, they do think about what you want to do ahead. And like Juliana rightly mentioned, it did help me a lot to set up my business as well. There is a push that comes from your professors when they see that in you. And that can only be brought when you spend enough time with them, when we have enough design discussions where they get to know that, how the way you think, the way you work. And that motivated me to, take this step ahead and start my own business. So professors have been really helpful. If it's okay to mention, I would really like to mention Stuart Wright, Rebecca. They were my masters in interior design professors, and they have helped me really a lot in terms of, the whole journey that I had as a student there. And obviously another memorable moment was when I graduated. So my parents had come down for my graduation. So it was a very lovely and, a very different experience, because back in India, we don't have such grand graduations. It's a different kind of graduation that we have there. But that is also special. I wouldn't want to say anything less to that. But this was a completely different one for me. And it was these were a few of my memorable moments that I had here.
Okay, thank you, Rupinder. So, Alice, you've had time to think now.
Yeah, I think for me it was very, very similar with Juliana and Rupinder, in the sense that I had the perception on how the relationship between an academic and the student should be. And when I came to the UK doing my master's, I realized that my perception was wrong. There wasn't such a hierarchy between the lecturer and the student. We became almost like professionals working towards a goal, a common goal. And I think for me, there was a specific discussion I had with my supervisor at that time, Graham Hudson. I'm also going to give him a mention. In which I realized that I'm no longer a student now. I'm a professional building up my career, And that happened actually. It happened immediately afterwards, when now Graham is my line manager and he was my PhD supervisor. So he and not just him, the DMU academics tend to be there and nurture you. And I think that's what's making the whole experience so special, that there's no longer that hierarchy between you as a student and the lecturer. And I'm hoping to do the same with my students, hopefully, Rupinder. But another memorable moment, I would say, for me was when I submitted my dissertation, which was the research that I worked on for 3 months. It was my baby. I submitted it, and it was almost like a happy and sad moment at the same time, because I was happy I finished it and I submitted it. I had the same sort of feeling when I finished my PhD as well. But then it was also sad, because what am I going to do next? And then the moment that really changed my life was just an email that I received from Graham, and said, would you be interested in doing some teaching? And then my life completely changed. So yeah, that's my most memorable moment, I guess, just finishing something and being proud, and then embracing what the lecturers taught me and taking that forward.
And Alice, can I just ask, was that something you were wanting to do, or did that email from Graham sort of come out of the blue?
Well, it wasn't something that I knew about myself. They mentioned before, but I, as a person, I'm quite introverted. I'm not the type of person that shouts about themselves, and I am quite an introverted person. And when I received that email, I went for it. It was outside of my comfort zone, but I went for it. I trusted that they saw something. And in many ways, I would say teaching found me instead of me finding teaching, because of DMU. And I absolutely love it. I mean, it's something that I love to do since I'm here.
Excellent. Okay, well, that's all the questions I got for you. Is there anything anybody else would like to add?
I could also add that the Montfort University gave me my husband and my 3 kids, because I met my husband at a party with the Montfort University when he was doing a master as well, So since then, we never moved from Leicester. We feel this place home, and we have 3 kids. And my 3 kids who are born here in Leicester, they find the place here. We are welcome as well. Some of the students, are, they have families as well. It's a very easy place to come with your own kids, because there is plenty of things available for the kids, and usually the community schools are very welcoming. So if any of your students have families here, I think Leicester is the right place to be.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, all that I need to do now is to say thank you very much for sharing your wonderful stories and journeys. Really grateful for you giving up your time. But really glad that you all clearly enjoyed your time at DMU. And you're part of the Leicester community now, which is great. So thank you all very much. And I'm sure we'll stay in touch. I hope we will. And on behalf of everybody that's watching and everybody that's likely to watch this in the future, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Thank you for having us. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you.